One of these days, guys are gonna say you're too weird. And I'm just gonna. Okay. Just beware. I don't know how much I'm moving my body in this. I slept wrong last night. My shoulder here, back at the neck, is killing me. More so my back, my neck, shoulder, back, my neck, and here. It's killing me. But I'm gonna keep this going. So, shit. It's time for Tubi Tuesday. Whatever. Um, so, yes, we're looking at the Blob from 1988, the remake of the Blob from 1958, starring Stephen McQueen. Here we have actually a lot of memorable, lot of memorable faces, I guess you should say. Kevin Dillon plays the main character, Brian, who's not shown really to be the main character. I mean, you see him first, but like we follow Paul Taylor for a bit of the plot. Do we think that he's the main character, but then he gets eaten by the Blob? Then there's Shawnee Smith, Amanda from the Saw movies, and she's also on Becker, which is a great show. But yeah, and then you have Emil from RoboCop. You know, I buy that for $1 guy. The guy who was watching that guy. I know him. I didn't realize the actor's name is Paul McCrane, by the way. I didn't realize he was the hook doctor guy from ER that got crushed by the helicopter. Spoilers for ER, by the way. But yeah, so the story here is that a meteor lands on Earth. It contains a blob-like alien that encases a small town, goes after this small town. And I like these movies where it takes place in small towns where everyone knows each other. Like, oh, hey, Paul, hey, Peter, hey, you know, Briggs. They know each other, right? It's a small town, and you get that feel from this. That it's a small town. Especially there's this joke that they do that was kind of funny. You have Art LaFleur, who was McNulty in the first three Transfers movies, and first two Transfer movies, and then the Tooth Fairy in the Santa Claus films. He's been in a lot. Babe Ruth in the Sandlot. He's been in a lot of movies, but he's in this. He plays Shawnee Smith's dad, Meg's dad. No, he doesn't say "shut up, Meg" or fart in her face. Although he could be a Peter Griffin if his hair was brown and he wore glasses. But there's a joke where Paul and his friend, they go to the pharmacy, and his friend is getting some condoms, and the priest walks in and sees him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just here, you know, getting some stuff." And then they said, "Do you want regular or ribs?" And he's like, "Oh, they're not for me. They're for my friend Paul over there. He's a little nervous. You know, I said I'd get them for him. You know, like they're like, why can't he pay for it?" He goes, "You know what? I offered. You know, he's gonna date with the girl tonight." It turns out that the girl is Meg, and Meg is his daughter. So like, he's like, "Daddy, I want you to meet Paul," and he's like, ribbed. But they deal with it off screen because it cuts. You see the Blob in action, and it cuts back to them. And he's like, "Oh, I'm glad I was able to explain it to your dad, the misunderstanding." I'm like, "What? That wasn't on screen? They didn't show it?" This movie though does have some lineage. Chuck Russell is the director. You know what else Chuck Russell directed? Scorpion King. Also, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. The Dream Warriors. Yes. This movie has fantastic special effects with the Blob. When it's the Blob, you're not going to have to compete with the melty faces and stuff. It's fantastic. However, the compositing effects, not so much. You can tell it's a screen or something. It just doesn't work right. Like at the end, when they blow blow it up using that liquid nitrogen, you could tell that it's like a screen behind him or something. It's not very good compositing. And this is the HD remaster. They could have restored it, fixed it, but they're saying HD doesn't look very well. The effects are pretty good. Yeah. So Paul. So this thing lands on Earth. It's found by a homeless man who apparently the actor is known for playing a bunch of old men. He finds it, but it grabs onto his hand and starts to I don't understand. This thing seems to engulf people. I guess it's too small at this point. That's how small it is. It's a little thing attached to his hand, and then he's found by Brian, who's trying to fix his motorcycle, and he tries to see what's going on and chases him out of the woods where the old man is hit by the car Paul is driving. So they take him to the hospital. They all go with him. And, so Kevin Dillon is in this. He's the main character, as we find out. I know him from playing Johnny Drama Chase on Entourage. And he started off like, that's not him. Maybe there's a different Kevin Dillon. Because this does not look like the Kevin Dillon I know. He has a clean-shaven face and a mullet. I'm like, no, that ain't him. Then he starts talking. I'm like, yeah, that's him. That's him. This is how he talks. Hey, come on. Do you think people are going to listen to us, huh? I'm like, yeah, that's him. That's him. How he talks, But, yeah, so, Paul and Meg stay behind. And Brian leaves to go get his bike, or I don't know where he goes. But he goes somewhere. He ends up getting arrested somehow. But when Paul goes to get a soda diet for Meg, he goes to check on the homeless person because he hears noises, and the thing has engulfed. The thing is oozing out and everything. It's very gnarly, and then it eats him. And I'm like, wait, I thought he was the main character. He was being built up to be the main character. No, Brian is actually. There's a million things going on in this town, and they all kind of come back to him. Like there's the diner lady, the sheriff, asks out, and she leaves him a note saying I'm off at 11. They both end up dying because of the blob at some point. There's a thing with the Meg's younger brother and his friend who go to see a horror movie called Garden Tool Massacre. About a Jason Voorhees lookalike that kills people with garden tools. Yeah. It looks like the hockey mask they use on the cover of Part 5, by the way. And I was confused. I thought Chuck Russell directed Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter, but no. Sorry. I was wrong, that's not him. He directed Street 3, The Dream Warriors. But, you're wrong sometimes, right? But yeah, so when Brian and Meg, they go up to where the thing landed, and they are caught by these government people who say they're going to take it back to town. They're putting this, like a paddy wagon, with the implication being they're going to take him to a mental hospital to keep him quiet or something. I don't know. They're not going to take him to town square. I don't know. But they're able to escape, but, they want to go their separate ways or whatever. So Brian goes one way. He goes back to where they are, and he finds out the truth. And I don't know if I like this. I think I like the simple idea that it's just something that came from space. Something that was out of our control. We had no involvement in, and just came from space and is growing and growing. It's like the way that they explain it is like, oh, you remember the dinosaurs ruled the earth, and then a meteor came. It had bacteria, and it did that. That was a great explanation. And then we find out that like it was an experiment by the government during the Cold War. They sent it into space. Space radiation mixed with the bacteria creating the blob. I think I like the explanation that it just came from space. Like that, this could be just like the dinosaurs, a world-ending event. Something that, I mean, it's always been just a plain meteor that crashed and destroyed everything. But I like that idea until it was flipped on its head and they're like, oh hey, government experiment. It's not really from space, not technically, but there's a shot earlier in the film where the priest we see earlier, he goes to this ice cream shop and he finds a piece of it frozen and he puts it in a little jar thing. There's a couple pieces in there that he puts in there. That comes back at the end, but like eventually our heroes make it back to the town square, even though they're being chased down by this thing because so they're kind of separated. Meg goes to get her brother and her brother's friend from the movie theater, which I hear the iconic shot from the original is the movie theater shot, even though it's just like on a cardboard and it's a blob gooey thing, jello on a cardboard or whatever. But here, like, it like sucks people in and stuff, and they're watching this horror movie, so you know. But yeah, Meg's able to get them out of there, but the friend dies because the blob is in the water. But like, she's in the water too, so she doesn't die, just the friend does. I think if it's in the water, it can spread out through the entire sewer water, but I guess not. But the brother's able to get out. She's screwed until Brian shows up and saves her, but he's forced to leave his bike, his motorcycle behind, and they meet up with another one of the people that work for the government, and this dick guy that works for the government is so wanting to trap this thing and make sure it doesn't get out that he's willing to risk human lives because like, okay, we gotta get up, and then they put the manhole cover back on and park a vehicle on top of it. So they're screwed, right? Well, not really, because there's like a grenade launcher or a rocket launcher or something that the guy has. He's like, I'm not going to do much of anything. Well, not on that. And so Brian fires it at the manhole cover, causing the truck, van, whatever, to explode. As they climb up, the three of them climb up and are able to get out. The blob is shortly behind him. And then now Brian's got to convince Briggs and the other cops that it was a government experiment. He's like, do you know how? Huh? You know, think about it. Meteor crashes. No government officials show up when a meteor crashes normally. How do you think they knew about it, huh? How do you think they got here so fast? They were watching it. It's their experiment. The dude ends up getting like bent backwards. He gets shot by when the blob attacks the government guy. Briggs gets shot, and then he's like bent backwards by the thing and sucked up later. But it's like there's this cool effect when the blob gets the government guy and it goes through the suit and it sucks him down. It's really cool. All the effects in this are pretty cool. Like effects, it gets over. You know, they could have very easily just done a rehash version where it just covers them and sucks them in, but like it's like acid burns on their face. Like even when Paul gets eaten, it's on him. You see his face stretching. All messed up. It's the thumbnail for this video. So, but yeah, just great effects. This is another one of those movies from the 80s. Those monster movies from space with great effects that were failures because critics panned them and it didn't do very well. Just like John Carpenter's The Thing that came out years earlier. Much like John Carpenter's The Thing, I think this is an underrated classic. I really enjoyed this movie. We're not done yet. I'm talking about the plot here. And they need to figure out what can stop it. Well, it was hinted at earlier with the ice cream shop, but it's cold because they spray it with a fire extinguisher and it backs away. So they blow up a container of liquid nitrogen. If Zohan fans, you know that. Liquid nitrogen, causing it to freeze into little pieces. And they said, we gotta get it to like a freezer thing before it thaws out. And that's basically the end. And then we get a little scene at the end showing that the priest has some of it in a little jar. And it's still, he's all burnt up from earlier because they had a flamethrower. They were trying to use flamethrowers on it. It was an accident and he got burnt, but he survived. He was preaching to the end of the world because of this thing. And now he still thinks it's coming because he still got a little piece of it. You know? So they were possibly setting up for a sequel, but this thing didn't do very well. I know that the original had a sequel, The Return of the Blob, or something like that. Son of the Blob, whatever it was. It's like 2 different names. This was pretty good. That's pretty good. Great special. Great practical effects. A great cast. We do get to know the cast. I like that we get to know the cast. It doesn't just fall and stuff happens. You see it fall, but we get to know the cast before the meteor falls. And even then, we still get to know about the cast and stuff. You know. But, you know, it's not bad. They're good. So, what are your thoughts on the Blob from 1988 when it comes to them? Should like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty. I'll see you in the next one.